Hi, I'm Christopher Hein, and today we're going to be talking about how important weapon length is. And we're going to do it in kind of an interesting way that I hope will be fun for everybody. So, the way we teach Aikido and talk about Aikido, it's about making a harmonious interaction. And then if someone's coming towards us and we can't make that harmonious interaction, how do we keep distance and keep ourselves from getting caught by the person attacking us? I personally believe that it's highly important if someone's, you're in a life-threatening situation and you're trying to get away from someone and they're actively trying to chase you down, that you should have something in your hand to give you a little bit of a reach priority, right? So a little bit of length. So what we're going to do today is we're going to test a few different length-sized weapons with Josh and Maya, and Josh trying to escape, Maya trying to get him. And they're all going to be foam, so meaning that they won't actually hurt at all. And we're going to see if just the length of the weapon actually plays into Josh being more successful or not. So just the fact that there's a weapon, so Maya won't be hurt by it. And Maya's objective is just to get Josh, and then once she gets him, that's going to be good, right? So our win criteria for Maya is going to be she gets her arms around Josh in some kind of way that we don't train for in Aikido, right? So a katate or a kata or some kind of inferior grab like we train for in Aikido all the time, that won't count. Josh can still work out of those. But if she gets some kind of bear hug or takes him down or something, then Josh loses that round, right? They're going to go for a minute. We're going to see in a minute how many times Josh can get Maya with these weapons. And Josh is going to have different length weapons to see how much just the length of him moving something contributes or doesn't contribute to it going on. So I'm going to call Josh and Maya out here. We're going to go to work for you guys. Josh, Maya? All right, so let's talk a little bit about what the Aikido Ma'ai is and why that Ma'ai is important and how weapons change that Ma'ai. So our basic Ma'ai in Aikido is this distance. So that's our basic Ma'ai right there, right? Now at this distance, neither one of us could touch each other without taking a step, right? So the longest thing I have is my leg. I can't reach him with my leg without taking a step, right? Now the reason that's important is because if I take a step, it gives him enough reaction time that he could probably get out of the way or defend himself, right? So meaning if he sees me take a step, he could take a counter step and get out of the way of that, right? Now, if I'm in really close on this guy, I can probably do something so fast that he won't have reaction time to it, right? So meaning, if we're this close, I could just move my arm and hit him. That's very, very little reaction time. He has to realize I'm hitting him and then bring his arm up to hit me, right? Maybe move his body, but he would have to be able to move his body pretty fast because I can move my hand real fast, or take a step and taking the steps really slow. So at this range, it's very likely that I'm going to get him at least once before he has some kind of reaction to that. Okay. Now, if we go to, say, a long weapon, let's say to go to a really long weapon, okay? So he's got this. If he reaches out with this, we check our ma'ai. So here's where the ma'ai would be with this long weapon, all right? Now, if he, just hold that down to your side for a second, okay? Now, here's our old ma'ai. Here's our old ma'ai right here, okay? And now our new ma'ai is here. So this means before I can touch Josh, Josh can touch me. Right? So meaning, look, if I step in, don't do anything. If I step in this close, I still can't reach Josh. I still can't kick Josh. Yet Josh can totally hit me, right? So Josh can totally get me, which means Josh is going to get one free shot on me before I can break down the distance to get a hold of him, right? So that length is super, super important. Now, of course, as the weapon gets smaller, that advantage gets smaller and smaller as well. But at this, with something like this length, so a sword, which is maybe something back in the day that guys thought a lot about having, right? That means that I can't possibly get Josh without taking one more step, and yet Josh can get me. So if Josh maintains his ma'ai, this, I have to take 2 steps to get Josh. 1, I'm now in Josh's danger zone, still can't get him, still can't kick him. 2, and now finally I can get Josh. So I'm going to give him 2 beats of time in which he can hit me, and also 2 beats of time which he can escape from, right? So if we're in our small ma'ai and I go to get him, he's just 1 step's all he gets. But with a longer weapon, he gets 2 steps. So even if the weapon is not that dangerous to the other person attacking, it's still going to give you more time and more attack potential for them to cover that distance. All right, guys, so that was what it looks like with 3 different weapons. So understand that that weapon is foam. All 3 of those weapons were foam. So there is natural flinch reaction, right? So you could see, especially in the last one there, Maya was really trying to protect her head because it's no fun to have something come across your eyes like that or it pops you in the ear. That's no fun. But that's a piece of foam. She's not scared of the foam. She just doesn't want it hitting her in a bad way. Imagine if that was a lead pipe or a sword. Right? So you buy yourself so much more time by having something of length in your hand. Now you might say, well, for practical self-defense, who cares about that? The truth is that should teach you that when you think you're getting into a threatening situation, you should immediately be looking for something longer to hit people with. Because even if it's not a severe weapon, it will buy you time and buy you attack potential and hopefully, ideally, buy you some perception of more danger, right? So meaning if they slow down more and they're like, oh, I don't want to get hit with that whatever pool cue you have, whatever weird thing you have, then that's good. It buys you more time, which is what you want. And remember, you're just trying to make your escape or buy time for help to arrive or whatever series of things can happen, right? So, you know, either you're going to get to a superior weapon platform where you could decisively end the fight, which is not ideal, but that's what have to happen. You're going to make an escape so you get away from that person, or other people are going to be able to intervene and stop it from happening, right? So those are different ways that you're buying yourself time, but that's what you're looking for. And lengthened weapon definitely does that. And so that's why we always do our drills with something in your hand, because you should always be looking to have something in your hand. And understand that a lot of the techniques in Aikido are only going to come out when you have something in your hand, right? So if you notice that, when Maya was coming in for Josh with the sword, there was way more wrist grabbing going on because she just couldn't get any closer than the wrist, right? So she's trying to cover that deadly zone as quick as humanly possible, and the wrist was what was available to her, so that's what she's snagging to try and get a hold of him. And you can see why, for our context, that being able to clear your wrist is really important, because if they get a hold of my wrist, that means they can soon get a hold of my body, and I don't want that. So the second they get my wrist, I have to be able to successfully clear it, and that's what's going to enable me to be free. So I'm Christopher Hein. Thanks a lot for watching. Take care.